Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and this is my Granny Era. Tonight I want to share with you guys a really big book haul. This is mostly stuff that I purchased throughout the month of February, though there are a few things in here that I ordered in January that either came right at the end of the month or came late, but I have been stacking up books waiting to make a book haul video, and then I realized I have quite a bit. I should probably go ahead and get that video done. So I'm going to share with you guys stuff that I was given, stuff that I purchased, stuff that I traded. My husband actually just got a big bonus at the beginning of the year, and he shared it with me, gave me half of it to do whatever I wanted to do with it. And so I've been buying books, and I've been buying some really kind of special books, things that I really want to have in my library for a long time. So we'll go into some of those, and I'll tell you as we go. So let's just get right into it. The first one, this is one that I definitely want to keep in my library. This is called A Mudlarking Year by Laura Micklem. And this woman lives in London. She is a mudlarker, so she'll go down to the river when the tide is out and pick up things that she finds there in the rocks and sand and, basically on the beach of the Thames. And I read her first book. I have it, it's just called Mudlark. And I read it a few years ago and loved it. I even had the opportunity to go mudlarking right across the street from my house. So the town that I live in here in Northwest Arkansas is a former resort town. And so there are all these lakes and parks and stuff here. We have 7 lakes in our town. And so I live across the street from one of them. And a couple of years ago, they were draining down the lake so that anyone who had lakefront property that wanted to make repairs on their docks could have that, area to be able to do that with the lake drained way down. And so they had it drained down for, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks or so. And so everybody was out there, doing their little repairs and whatever. But because of that, there was a ton of the lake bottom that was exposed. And so I took one of my daughters out and we went mudlarking. She found a couple of shells and she found a couple of golf balls. Those were the treasures that she found when she was out there larking. In this area, there are also 6 or 7 golf courses in this town. And so there's a lot of, golfing and golf balls all over the place. So that was really fitting for her to find. But that's what this woman and lots of other people, right, in London and all over the world, really, anywhere that there is a shore that is exposed and unexposed and exposed back and forth from a tide, will have things coming in. And so that's what mudlarkers do. They go out and they hunt for things. And she, in this book, is telling about the things that she has found all year long. So in the first one, she kind of introduced the reader to mudlarking, explained what it was, talked about the different historical things that she has found, and the tie to the history of London especially, but even just all over the world, just crazy things. And then this one, it sounds like she's kind of relating things seasonally. So I'm really looking forward to this. I ordered this. It's only out in the UK as far as I know. So it took a little bit for it to get here. And I just love the cover. I love the paper cover, and that you can kind of see, can you see here where it's sort of iridescent? I just love this. This is a treasure for my library for sure, and I can't wait to read this. If you guys are interested in all of this, she has an Instagram. I will put that information in the description box. You can go check out her Instagram, and she's always posting cool finds, and sometimes she'll have a mystery on there, for you to solve. Like, I found this thing. What do you guys think it is? Whatever. And she won't know, right? And so people have helped her solve a lot of mudlarking mysteries. So that, I think, is probably one of the most exciting books on my book haul here. All right, I can't spend 4 minutes on every single book. The next one I got is called 15 Wild Decembers. This is by Karen Powell, and it is a book about Emily Bronte, and it's just told in her voice. And I love Emily Bronte. I'll read anything by or about her, and so I picked this up, but I'm going to wait until December, so it's got to sit on TBR for a long time. Next up, I repurchased a book that I used to have and got rid of. This is a version of Plutarch, but it sums it up. It's kind of like something that you could read to kids, or, you know, if you just want, it says it's shortened and simplified. So it's Plutarch's Lives, shortened and simplified by Grace Vorse Kroll. This is a vintage book, as you can tell. This is from 1937. I thought it was a super cool cover, and I bought this on eBay, but I had this a long time ago, and I would read it to my kids during breakfast, just to give them kind of a general idea about these different, you know, lives, these different stories. And then of course they could go do more digging if they were interested. But I am actually, and I've hinted at this before, and I'm still not ready to go into all the details, but I'm putting myself through some courses of sort of my own design, but not really. And this will be part of that. So that's why I picked this up, but I will talk about that later because I'm not ready yet. All right, and then this first stack that I'm sharing with you guys is just kind of like general stuff. It like doesn't have a theme. All the other things are sort of themed. But this is a book called The Great Alone by Janet Daly. It's pretty thick. This book was recommended to me by my mom. So this book is kind of like a family saga. It goes over several generations of Native Alaskans. So Russian, English, Indian, and American people coming together to settle in Alaska. And it's just a book that my mom really enjoyed and wanted me to read it. So I did go ahead and pick that up. All right, and then I got this book that I think was recommended by Katie at Books and Things. This is Miss Austen Investigates. This is the first one in the Miss Austen Investigates series by Jessica Bull. And, you know, it's just going to be like a Jane Austen mystery. So I thought that would be kind of fun for March Mystery Madness that is coming up. I got this book called Shadow of the Titanic by Andrew Wilson. Now, about, I don't know, 18 years ago was on this major Titanic kick and reading everything and all the histories and everything. And I got a little burnt out. So it has been a good 18 years since I read anything on the Titanic. And I thought I would pick this up and read about the extraordinary stories of those who survived. So I actually haven't read a lot of survivor stories unless it was like the court, you know, proceedings. So this will be interesting. There will probably be some new info in there for me. Next up, I got the summer book. This was recommended by somebody, but I don't remember who. It's by Tove Jansson. And this is basically just little looks into the life of a little girl and her grandmother. They're on a beach, I guess. Little stories about summer and featuring this little girl and her grandmother. All right, next up is a pile of books that I specifically picked up for Historathon, mostly Q2. I don't know, we'll just have to look and see. But I am really excited about these. Some of these are some really nice books that will be great additions to my library. The first one here is called Meetings with Remarkable Manuscripts by Christopher de Hamel. This says 12 Journeys into the Medieval World. So this book features 12 medieval illuminated manuscripts, talks about the history of them and the mysteries behind them. I have always thought that illuminated manuscripts were super cool. I've always, you know, been into like the Book of Kells and all those different things. It has a lot of great color, you know, photographs, whatever. If you ever have the opportunity to go to Winchester Cathedral in Winchester in the UK, if you go upstairs, they have an area where they talk all about how illuminated manuscripts were made, the different elements that they would use to make the pigments and, you know, to make the colors, the way that they would do the gold. And it talks all about that. It's a Kings and Scribes exhibit. There's portions of one of the versions of the Magna Carta there, I think, on display. And then, of course, the Winchester Bible. And so I just love to go in there when I'm in Winchester and just go and see all the beautiful things that they use and the different processes. They've got like a little video interactive stuff. It's super cool what they've put together up there. But it's just fun to see those beautiful volumes, right? Things that just if we, I guess, had all day long to sit in our little, monk hole and color and write, like we could make these beautiful things as well. So I'm looking forward to reading this story and just learning some stuff there. Another one is called Mysteries of the Far North, The Secret History of the Vikings in Greenland and North America by Jacques Provat. This one I picked up Barnes & Noble. I think I got that other one at Barnes & Noble too, but this will be fun. When I was taking some college courses, I don't know, probably 15 years ago, one of the courses I took was on the history of the Vikings. And that's when I first learned that the Vikings actually had been in North America before Columbus, and about all the stuff, they were doing up in Canada and possibly even along the East Coast, the northern East Coast of America. And so this will be a fun little follow-up to that study that I was doing so long ago. During that same period of time, I took a class on the history of medieval Ireland. And this book, Sundancing, was one of the books that we read. It's probably hard to see, it's pretty white there, but if you can kind of tell, this is by Geoffrey Morehouse. Now, this book is kind of in two parts. The first part, so the book is about the little, I don't know, not really island, but rocky outcropping that people lived on called Skellig Michael off the coast of Ireland. And it talks about the history of that little island. I mean, not the right word. Skellig, I don't know, is that the word? But anyway, the first part of it tells a fictional story about the monks, the monastery that was there for so long, and gives you the history of that monastery, but kind of in fictionalized form. And then the second half tells some factual information. So it's just a really interesting collection of fact and historical fiction, Irish lore, spirituality, early Christianity, Celtic Christianity, anyway, all that stuff in this book, Sundancing. I've read it before a long time ago, so I am really looking forward to reading that again. Next up, this is The Anglo-Saxons by Mark Morris. And I got this mostly for a quarter or two of Historathon, talking all about the history of the Anglo-Saxons in England from 400 to 1066. Looking forward to that one. Beautiful. And we'll cover a lot of places that I've been. I always like to read about places that I've been, where I've done, some study, where I've had the opportunity to just kind of sit and think and write and look at stuff and imagine. And so I am looking forward to that, because I think there will be several different sites that I have visited featured there in that book. This is another book I am so excited to have. This is called The Bone Chest by Kat Jarman. When I was in Bath this last spring, I picked up her book, The River Kings. You guys see it up there maybe? It's right here, this one. I picked that up for probably, I think it's quarter two. Yeah, because it's on the Vikings. And I'm looking forward to reading that. But this book I'm even more looking forward to reading, because this one tells the story of the bone chests in Winchester Cathedral. So the story is that during the Civil War in 1642, invaders came in, they stormed into Winchester Cathedral, they rode their horses all around the, holy sanctuary, and then they got out the bone chests. So they had these different chests in the cathedral that contained the bones of ancient kings, former bishops, because the kings were based in Winchester before London, right? And so the kings, bishops, and then even a queen. And they took all the bones out of the chest and they chucked them all out the stained glass window, the great big stained glass window on the front of Winchester Cathedral, broke it all out. And then after they, left, the people all went and picked it all up and put it all back together, put the cathedral window back together. If you look, go online and look at a picture of Winchester Cathedral's big stained glass window in the front. It's a kaleidoscope. It really doesn't have any rhyme or reason to it. It's just kind of a mess. And that's because they obviously couldn't put all the pictures back together with all these fragments. And so they just put it back together in this beautiful kaleidoscope of color. But then the bones, they stuck them all back in the bone chests, but you know, there was no way of knowing in the 1640s how to determine who was who, right? And so they just stuck them all in the bone chest, and then they sat there for, what is that, 350 years or more, almost 400 years. And so just recently, they have been able to open up those bone chests and kind of divide people out. And for the most part, I think they have pretty much everybody. I think there's 2 people that they are a little bit, they're not exactly sure, right? So they could be this guy, they could be this guy. But everybody else, I think they have all divided out and put back, you know, in the chests. And so that's just super cool because, you know, how heartbreaking would that have been that they had preserved these, you know, remains all this time, and then now they're all mixed up. But so I've watched that process over the, I don't know, I guess I've been going to England for 12 years now. So I've been watching that process. In 2013, when I went, they talked about how they'd like to do that, right? And then later years, 2015, 16, they talked about how they were going to do that. And then we went in 2019 and they were doing that. And then we went in 2024 and they had finished, and the chests were all, I can't remember if the chests were all back in the cathedral or they had just finished the job. But anyway, this tells a story about that. And I just think this is going to be so good. I'm really excited about it. Again, reading about a place that I'm so familiar with and that just is dear to my heart, I think I'm going to really love it. All right. And then this book I just kind of grabbed. I was out with one of my kids and they wanted to go thrift shopping and they wanted to go book shopping, and I was just like, well, I better get a book or 2 then, so they, you know, feel like we did something fun. And so I grabbed this. It's called The Commonwealth of Thieves by Thomas Keneally. And it is about the settling of Australia. So what, is this going to go in Q3 maybe? After 1500? Possibly. The people on the front look like it's going to go in Q3. So I don't know that I'm like super interested in the birth of Australia, but I just went ahead and grabbed it. We'll see. I might actually really enjoy it. All right, and then these 2 books, I read this one before, and then I picked up this one. These are The 6 Wives of Henry VIII and The Children of Henry VIII by Alison Weir. And I really enjoy her. I enjoy her stories about, you know, the English monarchs, and I just think she does really a good job telling these stories. I love her one on Queen Elizabeth I. And like I said, this one on Henry VIII, I knew nothing when I went into reading this book, and it's huge. And I mean, for me, it's huge. It's a little over 600 pages, but that's huge for me. And I really enjoyed it and was just so into it. And that was a while back. And so I just went ahead and got them from my collection. All right, so that's Historathon stuff. Okay, so now I have a few for March Mystery Madness. I have this. Oh, this is a stack of Agatha Christie's. So I showed you those other ones for the mystery stories. I've got Miss Marple's Complete Short Stories. I didn't realize there was a book of short stories. I found that when I was out with my daughter. I got Agatha Christie's ABC Murders, which my husband and I just watched the Poirot, you know, TV version of this the other night, so I can read that one now. This one is called 13 at Dinner. It's another Poirot mystery. And then this is Agatha Christie's kind of a biography of herself. It's called Come Tell Me How You Live. In this one, it looks like she's talking about some of the adventures she's gone on with her husband, who was an archaeologist and took her along and even made her her own little like writing hut so she could sit in there and write while he was doing his archaeology stuff. This guy pampered her so much. He was just a wonderful guy to be married to, I'm sure, after that creep that she started out with. But anyway, this is her little story about that, talking about the different, you know, cultures, especially Arab cultures that she was able to encounter during that time. So I'm going to look forward to reading that. Another March event is Middle Grade March, which I'm going to participate in to a degree, but not a lot, because I like reading middle grade now and then, but I don't like just, you know, back to back to back. So I found 2 books that I think sound interesting. This one is called The Breadwinner by Deborah Ellis. And I guess this is a part of a children's series talking about how different kids in different countries help their families, like help provide financially for their families. So this girl is an 11-year-old little girl who lives in Afghanistan, and talks about how her father was arrested, and so the family was left without someone to provide. And so it talks about how she goes out and disguises herself as a boy to do something right, to earn some money or food for her family. So it's a little thin book, but I thought that it would be interesting to read about another culture, and that's the point of these books, right? For young people, to help them to learn about other cultures and what other cultures do. So there's that one. And then this one, I guess, kind of on the same vein. This one's called Everything Sad is Untrue by Daniel Nayeri. And I had seen this one before. Somebody recommended it. I had it on my list of books to look for. But it sounds like it's kind of the author's autobiography told in sort of fictional form. I think it's kind of a play on Arabian Nights and the 1001 Nights, all the different tales that the woman tells to the king or whatever. Because this kid, I guess, in his classroom is like always telling all of these stories. It sounds like the author was a refugee for a couple of years, and then his family immigrated to Oklahoma. He's originally from Iran. And so this kid, I'm assuming kind of same circumstance. So he's in Oklahoma, and if you guys, if you're not familiar with Oklahoma, there's probably not a lot of people from Iran who live in Oklahoma. And so for this kid, he stands in front of his classroom and tells all kinds of stories, I guess. And so this is the book of his stories, basically telling the guy's, story through the voice of the young kid. So that's my impression. We'll see what it actually is. But I don't know. That sounds interesting to me. All right. I told you there's a lot, guys. So next up is a stack of books that my mom sent me. So if you watched my video that I made, I don't know, a couple of months ago, she had sent me her Gothic book collection. Well, she is still sending me some Gothics and just vintage mysteries. And all of these books are so cool because they still have these really nice paper covers. They belonged to my grandma in like the 60s, maybe early 70s, some of them, and they are just in such great shape. And the cover art is so pretty. So I want to share with you guys what she sent this time. This one is Winterwood by Dorothy Eden. And I actually did read this a while back. It's, obviously like a great Gothic tale. I want to read it again, but I did just read it. Well, I don't know. It says 2019. I wrote my name in there to just tell. My grandma read it in May 1967. That's why I love inscriptions. So I don't know. That's 6 years ago. I could probably read it again, right? I've read hundreds of books since then. Here's another Dorothy Eden called An Afternoon Walk. Maybe I should just read that one since I like her, but I haven't read that one yet. And this is fun because it's a library discard from a little tiny town in kind of eastern central-ish Oregon called Fossil. So this is discard from the Fossil Public Library. And then my grandma wrote her name in it too. Oh, there's a little card in the back. Looks like the last time it was checked out was 1974. So grandma must have got it sometime shortly after that. All right, and then there is Columbella by Phyllis Whitney. So probably more of a mystery than a Gothic, kind of a suspense. Another Dorothy Eden called The Storrington Papers. This one is Spindrift by Phyllis Whitney. Don't these just look so much fun? I'm so excited. And then she sent me 3 that were not part of that collection, but just things that she thought I would like to read. She sent A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, and I know so many people have read this, by Betty Smith. And I've had it recommended to me. I don't know why I am not excited to read it, but my mom said it was super great, so I'll put it on my TBR. I'll read it eventually. And then she sent me this by Susan Vreeland. This is a fictional story told about the painting, the luncheon of the, the boating party? Yeah, luncheon of the boating party. And I have read some of Susan Vreeland's art history books before. I love art history and I love art history mysteries. I don't think this one is a mystery, so I may read it. We'll see. I asked her to send it to me just in case, because when she finished it. And then she found this guidebook for the Tower of London, which weirdly enough, I have never visited and actually just found out last spring that it's not just a tower, like it's a whole complex. I was imagining just one round tower sticking up. But when my daughter and I did the little tour bus thing, I was like, oh, it's like a whole complex. So then I kind of felt stupid. But one thing that was special that my mom included in this book was a leaf from Oregon, which she put between wax paper. So she sent me this pretty leaf. Well, here's the orangey, so I think that's the front actually. So that was really sweet of her to do, to send that. And oh, it kind of smells like Oregon. I mean, it smells good. So we'll stick that in there, and that will be a little forgotten bookmark someday. All right, I got one more book to show you guys. This is part of a collection that I have actually been collecting for about 20 years. This one is called This Is My Life. I believe her name is pronounced Tira. So Tira Ferre Bjorn is how I'm going to say her name. I actually have no clue, but that's my guess. I actually found one of these books. I have 4 more, okay? And I think she published 6. I think I got one more to find. But I found one of these, and I don't even remember which one, but I'll just show them all to you. Like 20 years ago somewhere. And I loved the art on them so much. It was so pretty. It was the way I wanted to decorate my home, which I do have a lot of stuff like this. But I bought the book because I loved the cover of it. And then I started looking for the other ones on eBay. And so one of these I found, I don't know where, and 3 of these I bought off of eBay. And then this blue one that I showed you at the first, I found at a bookshop in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So this is the one that I found. And I think I just have one more. I think I just have the Christmas book left to get. Yeah, there's 6 on the back. But I read a couple of these so long ago, almost 20 years ago. I read them when I had gone to the town that my great-grandmother lived in. We knew that it was time for her to pass away, and I went for the weekend just to say goodbye. And I stayed in a guest bedroom at her home, and after going to visit her for the day at the hospital, I came back and read these stories. And so they're special to me because they're beautiful. They're special to me because they're great stories about this woman's life and family in Sweden and then also in America. But they're also special because they remind me of that time, that last weekend that I had with my great-grandmother. That was really special and sweet. And she was a big reader too. So anyway, I really love that. And I would be looking for that last one. And then I will have my whole collection of these really pretty books. And then, yeah, I just need to finish reading I'll probably just read them all again because it's been so long. But they're just stories, you know, just about her life, just fictionalized stories and based on things she remembers. And I just think they're fun. So that is my massive, crazy book haul. Hope that inspired you guys. Let me know if you've read any of this stuff or if you want to put any of these on your TBR. Hope everybody's having a beautiful, great, wonderful day. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.